Ultimately, I know this is going to be a very touchy discussion for the people who watch this back. I want you to understand something. This is just a clip, and I'm gonna make sure that you understand that as we proceed with the response to this. But can we clear the air? I don't think that should be a difficult task here.
You need people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers.
What's going on, people? We got a clip from Mr. Andrew himself, the one who seems to be getting a lot of buzz more and more as the weeks proceed themselves. Before I review this, because I have my own take on it personally, this is not the entire show. Whatever podcast runs for 3 to 5 hours, especially with debates. So understanding that, moving into this, I want you to just relax. Understand that there are still portions of this that even I myself haven't seen. But I wanted to address what the argument actually was here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play this clip. Shout out to the young lady and go from there. That's
Perfect. So then here's the case then. The case is like when you say for some people, right? The reason you keep saying that is because even though it's the vast overwhelming majority of people, you want to like create this little minutia outlier, right? Is it logically possible that there's ever been a woman who's been essayed who'd enjoyed it?
I'm not going to.
Can you answer my question? No. Is it logically possible?
But Wilson and his supporters say that this moment was clip-farmed and taken out of context. So let's rewind and I'll explain the context. In this debate, Andrew Wilson and Oliver are arguing about whether or not most people should wait until after marriage to go to Pound Town. Andrew Wilson is...
I'm gonna answer that question first. Nobody should be having sex before marriage. That's how it's supposed to be. We just don't do it. We live the way we want. We've been given freedom of speech. There are no real chains or things binding us in the physical that would stop us from experimenting with premarital or doing anything that we are given under the Constitution or anything else in regards to your ability to make decisions, whether or not they're good decisions or poor decisions. We all are optimized in our own capabilities to move how we choose once we hit a certain age. But to answer that particular question, no, we're not supposed to have sex before marriage. We're not even supposed to be romantically involved with people until a certain point where we aren't dating, we're actually courting the person. I digress. Let's continue. Sorry. Excuse me. Hold on a minute. Wait a minute.
Podcaster Andrew Wilson is in a lot more hot water.
Yeah, it be like that sometimes. Let's run it back one more time for the people who didn't catch it at the beginning.
water than usual after this controversial clip went super viral.
You can make the case that like grape is bad for certain people.
No.
For certain people.
No, it's bad for everyone.
No, it's only bad for certain people. Here, like there's women, you agree, who have orgasmed during essay.
That has nothing to do with whether it's essay.
Bro.
That has nothing to do with whether it's essay. Are you kidding me?
Bro, I didn't say whether or not it's essay. I said during essay.
Yeah, what does it have to do with anything?
Well, bro, if that's the case, right, then was it bad for them?
Yes.
Why?
Absolutely.
Why?
Because there are overriding harms than just orgasm. I'm not saying that's not the case. What?
Perfect. So then here's the case then. The case is like when you say for some people, right? The reason you keep saying that is because even though it's the vast overwhelming majority of people, you want to like create this little minutia outlier, right? Is it logically possible that there's ever been a woman who's been essayed who'd enjoyed it?
I'm not going to...
Can you answer my question? No. Is it logically possible?
But Wilson and his supporters say that this moment was clip-farmed and taken out of context. So let's rewind and I'll explain the context. In this debate, Andrew Wilson and Oliver are arguing about whether or not most people should wait until after marriage to go to Pound Town. Andrew Wilson is a conservative Christian, and Oliver is described as a woke liberal in the title, so you can guess who has what side. Oliver says that for some people, premarital hanky-panky can be a good thing, and this is where the viral clip begins. So what Andrew Wilson is trying to do here is use an internal critique of Oliver's argument by using absurdity to point out the fallacy of his appeal to minority. He was attempting to show just because it's good for some doesn't mean that it's good for most. The problem with Andrew's internal critique, however, is that he fails to ever prove that grape actually is good for some, if anyone, and Oliver also refuses to entertain that possibility. What's fallacious about Andrew's internal review is that a woman having an O is not proof positive that she's enjoying herself, as an O can often be an involuntary reaction, much like morning wood or a wet dream. That stimulus reaction is not clear-cut evidence that that woman is having a grand old time during what by definition is a non-consensual attack. Andrew's argument would have worked a lot better if he chose one of many other examples. He could have said long-term fasting is good for some people, running 5 miles every day is good for some people. These examples work because we actually have evidence and studies that prove that long-term fasting has worked for some people, but doesn't work for most because most people need to eat every day to maintain healthy metabolic function. And that running every day has helped some athletes, but that most people can't handle the cortisol dump and stress that long-distance running puts on the body every day. I don't actually think that Andrew Wilson thinks that there is anything good about grape, but I do think that he shot himself in the foot with a fallacious analogy. And this isn't about canceling Andrew Wilson, it's just about holding his argument to a higher standard. You can still respect Andrew Wilson's overall body of work and admit that this was an L take. If you're really in someone's corner, you don't clap for their worst arguments, you remind them that they can be better, and this was not his best. You can be controversial, you can be provocative, but if you're going to be both, your analogies need to be airtight.
So I want to address a few things. First, clip farming. For those of you who don't know what clip farming is basically taking a specific argument or conversation from a show, from a program. You take what was sensationalized the most, you add your own captions to it, your music, you attach it to a hashtag, and then you post it on social media because you know that particular portion of the discussion is what's going to get the people to open up in conversations. But it's very misleading because without full understanding of how they ended up at the destination that they arrived to, you must first watch the entire show or program. It's a tactic that is really used for you to get the audience to move over towards your channel or your content, to dive deeper into exactly what it is that you do. Hopefully they find something relatively engaging about it and continue to come back in reoccurrence. But a lot of times what ends up happening is you get people that will take these clips and they misidentify with the people and the viewers based on the notion that if they watch this, I can get views and clicks, but never really going into full depth as to how these people got to where they are. Now, I said it earlier, no sex before marriage, but that's off the table. Nobody's doing that, and nobody's going to listen to it. Address the elephant in the room, and I believe we must have a full panel for this one. I'm going to spin back, but I do want to give my 2 cents. Grape with a orgasm is still grape. I didn't see the full show, so I don't know where the plane landed for both of them. But I will say I disagree and agree with both parties on two things. One, there's nothing positive about grape. In my honest opinion, I don't understand how it could possibly be enjoyable to any woman. And I'm going to actually do a poll on this. Leave me a comment. Is it possible for a woman to achieve nirvana doing an act that is involuntary? And tell me why. I don't believe that's possible. Now, something that this woman said, I don't think that Morning Wood was the greatest example. If you're trying to say uh men can't control that, it just happens. Because look at it like this: no one is forcefully doing anything to us. That is a natural biological action that typically happens. And I know it's probably a little more technical than that, so don't just quote me on what I'm saying. But we have dreams and things of that nature, and a lot of that shit is demonic too. I want to put that out there. When you get aroused in your dreams and shit like that, that is demonic. But what you're trying to conflate with is someone penetrating another person and them achieving this versus someone who is just organically doing it on their own or arriving to that on their own. No, it's not the same. But nonetheless, I don't agree with this idea that a person that is being inappropriately handled can arrive at that unless you have some sick fetish or desire to be manhandled that way. Outside of that, I don't see that being a real thing or a real argument. I don't know where Andrew was going with that. I actually have to go and watch that in its entirety. But honestly, I can't sit for no 3-4 hours listening to that. So I'm gonna need a start point and a finish point to where that conversation was brought up, so that I can really digest what both of them were arguing there. But I hope that kind of gives you a understanding of where I'm coming from. I I believe, I don't know. Sometimes I think these people, especially Andrew, they they feel so unmovable that they can just say anything just because they read a few more books than the next person. I have never seen a study on it that said people achieved orgasms through grape. Y'all let me know in the comment section if I'm tripping or not, though. Like, this was wild. This is actually wild. I'm really going to ask this question, and we just might have to spin back on this one. Like, really.